Call hello, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Salute to the House of David, the Church of Saints. Bringing up this quick article on the globalist war against humanity, which is really against Jacob. All right, shifts into high gear. Okay, so you're talking about cars, cash, literature, and independent news, all targeted for elimination. Okay, so these are one of the talks that's going on. Why? Because things are speeding up, and these devils, they want to do everything possible to basically, speed everything up. All right, the famine of the word is coming, the chip is coming, and the collapse of the socioeconomic system is coming. I got this article from naturalnews.com. It's basically signs of the times, and that's being observed by these alternative news medias, which is everything we've been bringing out through prophecy. All right, so if we skim down, I'll skim down a little bit, and I'll put this article in the description. It says, as witnessed recently by the Washington Post's horrifyingly dishonest journalism, naming 200 independent media websites as pawns of Russian President Vladimir Putin, the dying establishment media is desperately trying to establish a news monopoly by discrediting all competing indie news publishers. And basically what's been happening is that, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, they've been coming after alternative medias, which is basically, they're coming after the word, because that famine is coming, So in doing so, the Washington Post and its writer, Tim Berg, just abandoned any last vestige of journalistic credibility. All right, so the establishment, they're the people are starting to wake up that they can't trust the media. They can't trust these news controlled by the same six corporations. Okay, the people are seeking more and more alternative media because they're starting to wake up to the fact that they're being lied to. Okay. So it says, now owned by Jeff Bezos of Amazon.com, the Washington Post's willingness to prostitute its own credibility in an effort to destroy the independent media reveals something startling to the world. They're desperate. Like a cornered, ravenous animal, the mainstream media is now fighting for its very survival and hoping it can eliminate all news alternatives before the public figures out how deeply they've been lying all along. Okay, because they're nervous that the public is going to wake up, because as long as the people are asleep, they can continue to take crafty counsel, okay, and operate in the darkness while the people are distracted with the bullshit, okay, like celebrity gossip. That description also applies to the globalists, nefarious manipulators of finance, technology, and culture in order to achieve their selfish aims of world domination and depopulation. Following the Brexit vote, the election of Donald Trump, and the ending of the Renzi regime in Italy, the globalists are in full panic mode to regain control by eliminating every sector of freedom still remaining on our planet. Okay, because them putting out their so-called New World Order requires the full containment, restrainment of any social freedoms and the ability to think for yourself. All right, this is all happening right now, day by day, played out in the pages of the New York Times. Here are the key areas where globalists have declared war on humanity. Okay, and I'll just skim through it, and I'll post the article online. I'll post the article in the description so you can see it for yourself. So here's one: the war on cash. Okay, the war on cash is underway, and the massive debt collapse now being engineered by globalists will be exploited to abandon, bait, and outlaw all cash and force people into electronic currencies. Why the war on cash? Because cash offers too much freedom and anonymity to the very people the state wishes to control, which is basically Jacob, the children of Israel. The war is really being waged on us. Okay, so you get rid of the cash, makes it easier to control people, makes it easier to monitor people. Okay, when you get rid of cash, because paper can leave a trail, but the paper may not necessarily say who the paper was attached to. It's just a piece of paper. Okay, but when things become electronic, now there are signatures. digital signatures, okay, almost like fingerprints, if you will, okay, that can be traced, all right, and that can be traced. Like if you were a felon on the run and you're paying everything cash, it's easier to dodge the feds. But if you are a felon on the run and you used your credit card as under your name to make a purchase, bam, that pops up on their radar and easier to track you down. So that's why they want to implement the chip, and get rid of all cash, okay? So I'm going to skip down. The war on automobiles. Why? Because an automobile allows a person to travel almost anywhere they wish without government tracking or permission. Automobiles are being targeted for replacement by driverless vehicles and a push for mass transit. Okay, so driverless vehicles. Why? Because it will be operated via RFID microchips and robots that will be tracked via satellite. Okay, because that's how they will be driverless. Okay, and a push for mass transit. Why? Well, if you get not only see, I gotta bring out the videos on this too, Lord willing. Not only will people be implanted with chips, all right, but everything will be when everything goes from a cashless society to a cashless society. Paying for everything will revolve digital currency, okay? Ultimately, the chip, okay? So it's easier to track X amount of individuals that are in one place, okay? A larger group of individuals in one place versus versus them traveling individually, okay? Which is why the push for mass transit, meaning, public transportation, on a mass level, that revolves around digital currencies. Okay, the next one, the war on the internet, which is a big one because the unicorn was created to get this word out, and it backfired on these devils. All right, so Google, Facebook, Twitter, Yahoo News, and other internet gatekeepers. Okay, because these are the corporations that basically the big name companies that basically run the surface of the internet, because then there's a deep web. I'm not going to get into that, but the commercial web is run by these giants, okay, and they have declared war on the internet in an attempt to control and suppress information they don't want you to see, okay. So for years, nearly all independent media organizations, the only real free press in the Western world, okay, because the people over here are being lied to and they believe everything out of the TV. And in the TV, there's nothing, like I said, the TV is controlled by the same 6 corporations, all the damn channels. They ain't never going to push the truth out. So the whistleblowers are what make up what's called the free press, alternative news. And they have been banned from Google News and Yahoo News. Okay, now Google is blacklisting independent media websites from its AdSense program as a tactic to deny revenues to websites that publish information the left-leaning Google high priests don't want anyone to read. Okay, so why? Because they work for the elite. Salakia, ultimately the elite control everything, and they hate that the internet is so accessible, that there's so much information accessible to the people, exposing these damn devils, okay? So the famine of the word is coming as well through the internet, them getting us off the streets, trying to chip all of us and keep track of us, track of internet, which I was reading in an article that there are even plans to make the internet pay per use, which is retarded, and also like you got operating systems, which is why I'm switching to Linux, by the way. Linux is a freeware operating system, which you should get into. But like future versions of Windows, or I believe is the Windows now, I think 10 or whatever, I gotta get the facts straight, but something about fingerprint or iris scan identification, If any of you Akim know anything about that, put it up on the comment board. I also do my research, but any way that these devils can start implementing tracking systems to introduce to the people, all right, and get the people to accept it before the chip gets into place. I mean, the chip is coming soon anyways, but, you know, that's the direction they're moving, all right? They want to be able to track everything, and they justify terrorism, you know, and crime, which is all bullshit, because the real terrorists and criminals are the fucking government. All right, and it says the war on dissenting literature and news. This is a good one right here. Look, it says radical leftists and globalists don't merely want to silence opposing websites and monopolize the news. They also want to eliminate offensive books and literature from society. This effort, of course, involves all sort of book-burning initiatives disguised as inclusiveness or tolerance. Okay, so they want to eliminate offensive books and literature from society. And what's the number one book in the world, okay, that is offensive to those that hate us, okay? The Bible. The Bible, all right? And who's out there preaching the Bible? The prophets, all right? So that famine of the word is coming, you know? So it says, conclusion, the globalist war against humanity just shifted into high gear, okay? Which the globalist bloodline researcher David Icke, which he's a damn devil, by the way, is fond of saying that even people who consider themselves to be truth seekers nevertheless have limits of what they are willing to embrace as truth. I've also found this to be quite true, and it is with that realization firmly in mind that I am going to share with you the final end game of all of this. It is the elimination of 90% of the human population. Okay? Globalists don't merely wish to control billions of sheeple, you see, they ultimately want to eliminate them. Totalitarian control is simply one tactic toward that final aim. But of course we know that they will fail, all right, because Yahushua is going to return. Okay, Michael is going to descend and fight for our people, all right? You know, these devils ain't gonna triumph. I'll read this one last sentence here. It says, my final warning is that you are not really prepared for what's coming until you realize the globalists have declared war on humanity. Okay? So you're not prepared for what's coming until you realize the globalists have declared war on humanity. That's why the Akim, we keep preaching that this is a time of war. We're at war right now. All right? And right now it's spiritual, you know, but it's gonna get physical. All right? The time of Jacob's trouble is coming. All right? This is Psalms 83:3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, okay? The hidden ones is the prophets, and cut them off from being a nation, talking about the nation of Israel, okay? That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together, they, the elite, right, and all their other goons with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And that's all these other nations, these heathen nations that are confederate against us, all right? But they're not going to succeed, all right? The elite are not going to succeed, all right? They will be facing the angel of death, all right? Kal Halal, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, double honors to the elder apostles, salutations to the brothers throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing this word with honor and with integrity to the house of David, the church of saints, the tabernacles that shall be risen as in the days of the old. Stay strong. Stay in the spirit. Shalom.